Beautiful divine beings of love and light, welcome back to my channel. My name is Daniel. I'm here to help you raise your frequency, increase your consciousness level, and let go of man-made doctrines of religion that have kept you in separation, that have kept you in bondage, so that you can be liberated into a free expression of spirituality and live the best life that you've been created to be. Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to dive into emotions. We're going to dive into frequency. We're going to dive into understanding why our vibration is important and how our emotions tie into our vibration. So let's get it. What is our vibration? Well, first of all, we have to start off and realize that we are vibrational beings, that we are divine, limitless, vibrational beings. And when we break material down to the quantum level, everything is vibration. We have energy centers throughout our body that are tied to specific glands: the heart, the thymus gland, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the ovaries or the testes. We have different glands in our body that are actually producing energy. And at that level, the basis of us, when we break ourselves down beyond the physical, we are actually energetic beings. And so we are constantly vibrating at different levels of frequency and different vibrations. So our energy can be moving at a very high pace, and we can be moving at a very high frequency, or we can be at a very low, slow, sluggish frequency. And so it's like being tuned to different radio stations or different radio channels. And why is our vibration important? Because this determines so many things in our life. It determines the quality of our life. It determines, we're going to just dive into a lot of the benefits afterwards, but I first want to talk about how we can figure out if we're living in a low vibrational state or a high vibrational state. We have something that's built into our body, a biomechanical feedback loop that tells us exactly what our vibrational levels are at. And that is our emotions. So you know that you're vibrating at a low level if you're feeling an emotion that you don't enjoy feeling. Guilt, shame, brokenness, grief, condemnation, fear, anger, resentment, desire or addiction. These are all low vibrational states, cravings, these kind of things. And so our emotions, our energy in motion, is actually like a thermometer or a scale, like when we're driving down the car, the speedometer of the car goes from 0 to 200, 200 being the high level frequencies and 0 being the low level frequencies. Our emotions are like that gauge that we can actually look at, become aware of, and gauge where we're vibrating at as an energetic being. So when we're really, really feeling down, we're in a low vibrational state. But when we're feeling great, when we're feeling joyful, peaceful, blissful, connected, flowing in revelation, when we're feeling passionate and enthusiastic for life, we're in a much higher vibrational state because our emotions are letting us know that we're vibrating more in alignment with the universe, more in alignment with Creator, more in alignment with the source of all that is. Because God does vibrate at the fruits of the Spirit: the love, the peace, the joy, the higher vibrational states of reality. And so the more that we can stay in alignment and be a higher vibrational state, the more amazing things can happen into our life. See, when we go into a low vibrational state, we lose perspective. The lens in which we see life changes when we're in a low vibrational state. Maybe you can relate. You've been through depression. You've been through a terrible circumstance in your life. You deal with anxiety or fear. You know that when you are not in that state, your perspective of life is much different than it is when you are feeling great. So when we go into a low vibrational state, the lens in which we see life completely changes. It's like being on there's like a mountain with different peaks on it. It's like being at the base of the mountain is a much different view than being at the very peak of the mountain. Your perspective is completely different. At the bottom, you can't see through the trees. but your life is just looking at in the forest, looking at the trees. But when you're at the top of the mountain, You can see beyond the mountain. You can see the whole forest. You can see all of the opportunities in your life. You can see all of the synchronicities that are unfolding around you. You can see the divine connections that are happening. You can see the opportunities to make money that have always been there around you. You can see so much more in your life because of this perspective shift. It's a tangible perspective shift because you're vibrating at a higher frequency, you're at a higher channel, and you can see much more. When you're at a low vibrational state, so you lose perspective, but you also lose capacity. What's capacity? Well, you lose your ability to deal with things. So say something bad happens in your life and you're caught up in fear. All you can do is hide. All you can do is worry about it more, and you don't have the capacity to actually bring correction or what needs to happen in that circumstance in your life. Because as electromagnetic beings, if we're on a low level frequency and we have low energy, all of our energy is going to those low level emotions, to those addictions. So your capacity to be able to overcome something is very low. Your willpower is low. Your capacity to be able to move forward in life and do the things that you want to do is very low, and you end up having to do all of the things that you have to do instead of the things that you want to do. And so you lose your perspective, you lose your capacity, and you lose your desire. See, your desire goes way down. When your frequency is a low vibrational state, your desire goes into a place where you are desiring low-level things. You're desiring greasy, deep-fried food. You're desiring some kind of addiction or escape in order to numb how you're feeling so that you can feel a little bit better and block those lower vibrational states for only a period of time, which actually hinders you later on down the road and makes things even worse. And so we need to get liberated. We need to liberate ourselves from the low vibrational frequencies and move up into a higher vibrational state. Because when we move into a higher vibrational state, our perspective shifts. We move into a place of being able to see limitless abundance around us, to be able to tap in and see the synchronicities, to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. Our capacity also increases when we raise our vibration, when we raise into joy, into love, into peace, into clarity, into flow state, into understanding. We move up our vibration and our capacity increases greatly. We're able to delegate tasks and ask people for help. We're able to not be in that fear state of needing to try to work things out ourselves, but we realize that there's a benevolent, supportive, universal ecosystem that we're in that has limitless resources to be able to help us and empower us to move forward. So we move out of the low capacity of struggle into an empowered state. And our capacity just goes through the roof. And we have energy because we're enthusiastic, because we have passion, because we're in excitement. And so we can go and we have the willpower to say no to that food that you don't want anymore. You have the capacity to be able to take on life challenges when your car, your dishwasher, or your furnace breaks down. You can deal with stuff as it comes up, and it's not a big deal. It doesn't take you out because your capacity is so much greater than it was when you were at the lower level frequencies. What else happens? Your desire always goes up. So you actually lose the desires. When your frequency goes up, you lose the desire for the low level things. They might come up every once in a while, but it's a decision to use them or go back to that way of thinking and being if you want. It's no longer stealing your life and you have no choice. When you're in a high frequency, it becomes a choice because you have that empowerment. And so that's why in Psalm 23, King David said, "The Lord is my shepherd." The Lord, union with the divine nature, the highest frequency is his place of being, is the one that takes care of him. And so I shall not want, or I shall not desire these low-level worldly things anymore. Because when you're in that higher vibrational state, you don't need to desire any of that stuff anymore. It leaves. It's unimportant because your heart's already so full of love. Your heart's already so full of joy. You're already so connected with yourself, with others, with everything around you that your circumstances don't need to dictate how you're feeling and how you're being anymore. And so this is why frequency is so important, because it raises your perspective, it raises your capacity, it raises your desire, or it lowers it all. So those are major traits by which our lives tangibly change when we change and elevate our frequency. So I'm gonna make another video about how to change our frequency, but the number one thing that we can do to change our frequency is change our thoughts. Change the way that we think about ourselves, because our thoughts are frequencies, and those frequencies carry information that will lead us into a low emotion or a high emotion. And based on where the emotional state we're at is the vibration that we're at. So if we're constantly thinking, like, how am I going to make rent? This is too expensive. I'm never going to make enough. Then we're going to be in a low vibrational state, and we're going to have low perspective about money. We're going to have a lower capacity to make money, and we're going to always be in a desire, needing and wanting money. But if we're in a higher frequency and we're already feeling abundant, then our perspective is, I'm completely abundant. And you know that more is coming, because your capacity to receive is there. And your desire isn't needing money anymore, but maybe it's to help other people gain that knowledge of how to make it, and maybe it's to help other people and to give, because you're in an abundant state. And so you know that you are fully supported by God, by the universe, to be able to be a blessing to other people. And so it's a completely new perspective shift that changes the way that we think, that changes the way that we feel. And a powerful tool by which we can change our thinking is through meditation. Because if you're in a very low vibrational frequency and I need to get up to a high, and you're feeling all this guilt and shame and fear, and you're like, I need to be happy, it's hard to go from low to high instantly. So what you need to do is you need to go to a stop first. That's worked very, very well for me. And that's the way that I think is one of the easiest things that we can do, is we can go into a state of meditation, of peace, start looking at our thoughts, start looking at our limiting belief systems. And as they come up, we write them down. And we become very familiar with these limiting belief systems and patterns and unconscious programs that we're running. And we say, does this bring me into high emotions or low emotions? How is this thought affecting my vibrational state? And as we see that and we expose it, per se, we can decide whether we want to keep it or not. And when it comes up in our life, we just say, no, I don't want that anymore. I am not in alignment with that anymore. And you stop the thought right there. And then you replace it with something that you do want. You replace it with something that brings the vibration up. And so then once we're in the meditation and we're in a meditative state, we can become aware of these things. And then at that place, we can change. We can come to that place, become the observer, and we can change what we want to think and what we want to feel. And literally, it's the process of uprooting all of the unconscious programs that we've been programmed with that keep us in a low vibrational frequency. And so then this gets into triggers, healing our soul wounds, because there's a lot of programs and cycles that are actually connected to things that have happened to us in our past, and they get triggered, and then we have these protectors that come up to protect the cycle that's going on in our life. And so we need to be able to get underneath these programs, these protectors, and these triggers, so that we can get to the bottom of the emotional wound, and we can heal that wound so that we are no longer constantly being forced down into a lower vibrational state. So be ready for my next video about soul wounds and about triggers, signs that we have soul wounds, and how we can enter into healing them. And the key is we all have this innate ability, intelligence, and love, this loving presence within us that has the power to be able to heal all of the soul wounds and all of the traumas that we have. So it's really good news. We're more powerful than we think. You're more powerful than you think. And so I just bless you, and until next time, shalom.